That's great.
Namaste, namaste, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Awakenings Moments to Inspire. My name is Angela, or Angel with an A, and I am so honored to be here with you this evening, co creating this powerful hour together with so much energy still in the air from the new moon and solar eclipse. And with an absolute fabulous guest coming on here tonight that I can't wait for you to meet. I have known this miraculous woman her entire life, and I just can't wait for you to meet her. But before we begin that, we all have to say hello, hello to everybody out there at Oneness Talk Radio. And we're also listening at Oneness Talk Radio YouTube and Oneness Talk Radio Facebook. So on all of those platforms, we have a chat ability. And I would love to co-create this hour with you and with our guest. And interacting on the chat is how we do it. So if you would like to, if you have a question for our guest or for myself, or you want to chat amongst each other, please, 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 by all means, get together there in the chat. Put it down there. I can read it out live here. Our guests can actually see the chat as well. So you'll be able to interact with them on a solid, meaningful level. So can't wait to co-create this hour with you. So before we begin, I always like to do my 3 deep Ave Saw breaths. And if for those of you who are not familiar with Ave Saw, it is from the Yoga of Self-Ascension. And my teachers, Master Lady Kira Ra and Wisdom teacher Sri Ram Ka, ones that taught me Ave Saw. And it's very, very simple. It involves inhaling through your nose and exhaling out your mouth. But as you do, you're thinking Ave on the inhale. And what does Ave mean? It's Latin and it means hail or hello, but a very respectful hail. So hail to the divine, to the spark inside of you, and to the spark inside of all of us. And then the saw at the end of Ave Saw is a release or a surrender to the moment and a release of all of the energies and relaxing into that which you are, which is again your divine spark. And then afterwards, we usually do it in threes. And afterwards, don't forget to smile because that is where all of those energies coalesce inside of you and on your face, and it just lights you up. So, what we do is we put our hands to our hearts, and on the inhale again through our nose, we're going to think Ave. And then the saw is literally an exclamation or a relaxation. So, here we go. We'll do it 3 times. Ave. Sa. Ave. Sa. Let's do it one more. Ave. Sa. That just helps us to ground and center in the energies of today, which I'm going to get into very shortly. It also helps us to center into the moment together so that we can co-create the hour. So that is Ave Saw breath. If you want to learn more about the yoga of self-ascension or Ave Saw, I would highly recommend going to shriankira.com and you can learn more there. There's all kinds of lessons, all kinds of teachings, lots of great things for you to, if you're interested in self ascension consciousness, please, please go to shriankira.com. So, what have we got going for today? Whew. Well, as we all know, it's October. Ooh, I always do this way. So there's our October calendar, the Ascended October calendar for 2022. And the energy for the month is a 10. And the month, and what a 10 actually is the energy of action and manifestation or activity and manifestation. So it's you dream up all of the things that you want to manifest, and then you go into the energy and the potential of that actual manifestation. So that is what the 10 is. But not only is it the month's energy, it is also the day's energy. So today's date is the 27th of October, 2022 is actually a 10. So this action and manifestation energy is doubled in intensity. So this is what I actually wrote about the ascended numerology for today. And the ascended numerology, this is what I had called to me just before the show, actually. I had something completely different written. As I'll just quickly show you my scribbles, all my scribbles. And then I decided that I wasn't, it didn't resonate with me as deeply as I really wanted it to. So I ended up feeling into it even more. The power of 10 is today. It is the action, the manifest energy of your body and mind, the three dimensions which the power of 10 is part of. We have the use of our body, our 10 fingers, our 10 toes, and they help our mind to take action to help the creation or manifestation energy. That which we see in our mind's eye is that which our fingers begin to create. But it is the fire or the passion that is the soul, that is the true driving force of who you are. And it is in today's energy that they all are in alignment and powered up together, body, mind, and spirit, to help manifest all that you want in all of your life now. Trust in yourself and the actions you take from the heart. They are true. So that's what I felt called to me today in the energy of the 10, which I'm going to just lead right into my guest now, because my guest is the epitome of manifest energy and taking action in life. She is an amazing, amazing woman. I have known her since we were both small, small children. In fact, out of all of the friends I had with as a child, her and her sister were two of my closest buddies, and I can't wait for you to meet her. She has gone on to become a registered social service worker. She works with as a life coach, a wellness coach, and she just put together a women's summit, which she is in the middle of and has actually taken the time out today to be with us. She's going to be up bright and early to give her summit talk tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So I can't wait for her to talk a little bit more about that. And maybe you'd be interested in joining the Women's Summit too at the end. So I'll put up all of that information for you as we go along. But without further ado, I want to bring in my beautiful guest, registered social service worker, life coach, wellness coach Stephanie Butler, and a dear old friend of mine. Welcome, Stephanie, to the show. I'm so pleased to have you here.
Thank
Finally,
you.
finally.
Yay! I what you were sharing about October being a 10, I was like, "Yes, yes, yes." I had so many downloads for coaching programs and changes that I made to the summit that's happening this week, and it was just creation center, and I was like, "What is going on?" So that made
Exactly.
complete sense to me. Thank you for sharing that. It just clarified a lot.
I would also say some of your communications problems might have been due to the Mercury retrograde, but that ended last week, so
It did.
unfortunately, that's not the reason there.
Yeah. It's me, the user.
Now listen, I don't have a call board for one reason only. I don't trust myself with the technology yet, but eventually, maybe, just maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, so this is one of my oldest and dearest friends, Stephanie Butler of Stephanie Butler Coach. She is an absolute amazing woman who has taken her hits in the trenches and come out all the brighter, all the more centered and mindful and sure of who you are and where you're going in life. So I just want you to start your story and just tell us a little bit about yourself. I know where you come from and what you've been through, but the rest of us don't quite know. So I'd love to hear you to share a little bit more about your story with them.
Absolutely. I'll start with I had an amazing childhood, especially the summers, and that's how I know you, Angela. And what comes to mind is some of my favorite times up north by the lake, hanging out with friends all day, building forts, fishing, putting on lip sync. presentations for the
Yes,
parents.
we were quite talented lip syncers, folks. We were really
Yes,
were.
you sure were. You were amazing at set design, costumes, you name it. I mean, we dove into this, and I had a wonderful time growing up and exploring and just loved life, and then I think I was around 11 or 12 years old, and for me, things started to change. And I think the big um, uh, point in my life was my grandmother had passed away. And when I
Mhm,
look back, my point of view was she really understood me and was unconditional love. And I felt that like just beaming from her. And so I kind of had this attitude of, I kind of made this deal that God, source, universe, whatever you wanted to call it, stole my grandma. And I was
uh,
not happy. And this was the story that I had created. And that was kind of the start of this negative, very detrimental way of thinking that I had. And what I soon found out was that alcohol and substances would help me feel better.
mhm,
And so I turned and I crossed that certain line in the sand that we never know we're crossing into addiction.
mhm,
And I was full on in that illness like you wouldn't believe for years.
mhm,
Um, it took me to places that I, just thought you just read in stories. Or as I put it, I've lived in hell. I
mhm,
know what hell feels like, at least from the stories that I've read and how it's been described to us. I have absolutely been there.
mhm,
And for me, when I started drinking and using a few other things like marijuana or whatever, light drugs, I was having a great time. I
mhm,
really was. It was a social thing, it was, on the weekends, and I really love the club scene. I'm from Toronto, and it was a party time, and everybody I hung out with was doing it.
mhm.
I soon started to my weekends turned into Thursday to Sunday. Then it was Wednesday to Monday. And soon whatever day it is, that's fine with me.
Mhm.
And it stopped being fun and it started to be a necessity
Yeah.
where I just didn't know how to function without ingesting something that was mood altering in my body. For
Mhm.
me, for me, it worked. If that might sound weird to you, but it
Yeah.
worked for me because it made me feel comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah. I had an addiction of my own, not a drug addiction, but a food addiction, which
Mm,
you obviously know about, and for me, it was the dopamine rush that I would get off of food or the pleasure rushes that I would get off of food. Nowhere near a chemical high of drugs, but, I can, in a small general way, kind of see where you're coming from, surely. Addictions that take over your life. I love Gabor Mate. We've had that conversation about Gabor Mate, but, um, any coping mechanism that eventually takes over your life becomes an addiction, and that addiction, is detrimental to what you were wanting for your life, whether it be drugs, food, shopping, work, whatever. It can really take over your life, and you can't function without it because you don't know how to get those chemicals and rushes and hormones the way you would, and in your case, even more so, synthetic or chemical drugs, to get that to raise your uh, allow you to function just, even on a
yeah,
day-to-day basis, your daily activities. So, yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And this um, brought me to my mid 20s. So when I was about 25, I this is where I passed the line and I was now in hell. And for the next 3.5 years, I was an absolute slave to drugs and alcohol, meaning I needed to use them. It wasn't an option anymore.
Mhm.
I thought it was always an option, and my answer was yes, I want to do that. And then it stopped being an option, and it was like, oh my gosh. And it was like Groundhog Day, just waking up and having to imbibe and just getting through the day. I was terribly depressed, thought of uh, ending it, but never had the guts to do that. And so I just somehow got to a point where I knew it wasn't working, but I didn't know another way of
Way out.
life. I
Yeah.
didn't know how to live without doing what I was doing. I was doing the best that I knew at the time, right?
Yeah,
Looking back at it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so my solution to life was not working anymore. And I was desperately treading water all the time. And
Mhm.
so I was somehow still working at this time in social service field, and I don't know how. And
Testament
my
to your strength, though, really.
yeah, and so my coworker at the time that I was working with had turned to one of our clients and said, you know, if you stop drinking and doing drugs, maybe you would have a better future for you and your children. I don't know what happened with that client, but a light bulb went off. I had a moment of clarity, as I've been taught to call it,
Mhm.
where I saw the answer and I saw myself the way universe saw me, the way other people saw me. I saw the truth of the situation, and it was, if maybe I stopped drinking and using drugs, maybe my life would be a little better. For me, all these years, they were my solution. So I never thought that they were the problem.
You
It
could
was
be
just,
any other thing. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it was just life was hard and this is my lot in life and all these stories that I told myself. And so that brought me on a journey of looking for help and
Mhm.
being in the field. It was a little humbling.
I can
I
imagine.
I help people get help. I don't ask for help, right? And so I started on a journey of asking for help, and through that help, my family doctor actually was advised, because I was sent to see an addictions doctor, and that doctor sent his report to my family doctor. And this is how the universe works in my life. And so that family doctor knew me since I was 12 years old, and
Mhm.
I'm now at this point I was 28, and he just said, "Wow, I didn't know." I said, "I didn't know either." But I still didn't understand addiction. Even though I was in that field and I helped people sort of, I was so in denial of my situation that I basically turned to him and said, "Well, you need to fix me."
It's very
Yeah.
common. You're not the first person in social work that I've heard um, about substances becoming a problem, and I've actually seen it firsthand myself because I've worked in social work before. So it's always the helpers who don't think we, like you said, we help. We're this, service to others people, and so we don't need help. No, no, no. Yeah. So totally resonates. Totally resonates.
Yeah. And so this doctor helped me get into a day treatment program through the hospital,
Nice.
and that started my journey to recovery. And that me starting and talking to my doctor was was this time 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been a while that I was living in hell. Thank goodness. I now find that I live in utopia, heaven, whatever you want to call it, here on earth. I found it. Um, and so what I've come to know is that I was addicted and to substances because it made me feel comfortable in my own skin. And now what I've learned is um, that source, God, the universe, whatever, um, is my answer. And what I mean by that is when I was ingesting and trying to make myself feel good with all the drugs and alcohol, I was trying to fill this void, this hole in my soul.
Mhm.
And it never worked.
Yeah.
It never worked. It
Yeah.
might for a fleeting second, right? And I might feel that, for an evening it was okay, but I was always chasing maybe the first time that it really worked for me, but I never reached it.
Yeah.
And so now, 20 years later, through many different modalities and many different life experiences, and meeting folks like yourself along the way, and talking to folks like you, I have done certain things that have brought my spirituality to the forefront of my life.
Mhm.
And so I had to work through all that, God stole my grandma stuff,
Yeah.
because I made that decision at 12 that we were done.
Yeah.
I didn't have any use for that. Screw you, universe. You're doing
Yeah.
nothing good for me. And so that was pretty tough to work through. And I needed support. And, I'm a huge believer in that phrase, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
Well, I believe it takes a village to raise a human being until we pass or transition. Because I don't know about you, but I've never been a 48-year-old woman on October 27th in 2022. I don't know how to do it. I'm just trying it out, seeing how the day goes,
Yep.
right? So I need my community. I need my support network to
Yep.
help raise me.
Yep.
And it's been amazing. I have found like-hearted and like-minded people in this world that have guided me. I have mentors, I have coaches, friends, extended family who, have taught me something along the way. And when we talked about me coming here, the biggest thing that was such a shift in my life was self-compassion.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to share a little bit about that with your audience because I'll talk about it for days if I'm allowed.
Well, we have approximately 38 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll keep it to the short talk.
Okay, perfect, perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
For me, I started, exploring different modalities, and through the work that I do, I want to help other people. And so I stumbled upon self compassion. And Kristen Neff, she's the PhD who is behind self compassion, bringing it forward, and has so many practices and books on it and teaches it. And she's amazing. She's from the United States, I believe, Texas. And she just, through her own life experiences, found self compassion and created this self compassion kind of dialogue with the world and other doctors, and
Mhm.
has created it. So it's it. I'll do a little psychoeducation just to let folks know about it, and then I want to share how it can change your life the way it's changed mine. So um, it has three components, which is mindfulness, self kindness, and common humanity. So it's pretty simple. Um, so mindfulness is being in that moment, right?
Yep.
And just being aware and curious about what's going on right now, right? And just trying to live and accept this moment as it is. And so that's the mindfulness portion of it. And then there's common humanity. I don't know about you, but when I might be struggling or have made a mistake, I can really think, oh my gosh, I'm the only one who's ever done this. I'm
Yes.
such an idiot,
Yes.
right? We can do that. And so the common humanity portion of self compassion then reminds us, like, I'm not the only one who's ever done this, and I'm not going to be the last person who's done this. I know other people have felt this way and struggled.
And yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Yep.
Right? And so that takes me out of isolation. That takes me brings me into community, common
Yes.
humanity. I'm not separate from you and you're not separate from me. I'm not that different and special.
Yeah.
So that helps me to think a little bit more rationally.
Mhm.
And then there's self-kindness, which for me was the hardest component of this thing because I'll give an example. So this was back 20 years ago. I was in recovery. So this was when I was going to the outpatient program at the hospital for my addictions.
Mhm.
And I was walking there. And I don't know about you, but I can trip over thin air. I'm a little clumsy. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
remember I tripped. I looked back and saw nothing there that I could have tripped over. And this is where I was 20 years ago. I said, "You are pathetic. You don't even know how to walk properly. Look at you." Like, this is how I used to talk to myself. And
Wow.
I believed it. And I thought I was just this horrible person. I soon learned that I was a sick person and, I am deserving and we'll get to that part. But this is how tough I was on myself.
Mhm.
So that's where I was 20 years ago. And so, what I've learned through practicing being kind to myself, and this is the biggest lesson that I took from Kristen Neff's teachings, is, you know, for a minute here, just think about times when, your friends might be struggling or feeling inadequate or failed at something,
Mhm.
right? It happens. And then you're feeling okay, you're in a good space. And then, think about that situation and how did you talk to them? How did you help them through that? What was your posture like? What was your nonverbal gestures like? The tone of your voice? All
Mhm.
of those things. And just picture, all the various times that you comforted a friend, right?
Mhm.
We've all been there, right? We're all human. We've all made mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
So now we can think about yourself and the times that you found yourself maybe struggling, had a misfortune, failed at something. How did you talk to yourself? What was your tone like? What was your posture like? Your nonverbal gestures? I'm sure most of us probably can see there's a little bit of a difference there.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Yes.
whole lot of a difference, a big difference.
A lot of people don't realize how tight they hold themselves nowadays
Yes.
until they actually let it go, and I'm like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
That was certainly on my healing journey, one of my really major indicators of how tight and caught up I was my when I finally learned to relax my physical body and then my jaw. It was just all of the headaches and a lot of the physical pains went away that were within my body, and it was just simply because, without even knowing it, I was holding my body like this all the time. And then when you learn to let that go, it's like, "Wow, I
Absolutely.
didn't even know that."
Yes. And so when we look at how we talk to ourselves,
Mhm.
if you're finding that there was a big difference between how you comforted your friend and how you talk to yourself, with
Yes.
self-kindness, we learn to treat ourselves like we would one of our closest friends.
Yes.
And so we know how to be a good friend. We know how to comfort others. It's then putting that towards ourselves, and that's self-compassion, self-kindness component of it.
Mhm.
And so when you put the 3 of them together, I'm being in the moment and I'm realizing I'm really struggling right now and I don't feel very good.
Mhm.
I know I'm not the only one in the world that has felt this way. I'm sure if I talk to others, they may be able to share an experience. And you know what? It's okay that you're feeling this way right now. You're going to get through this. What do you need right now?
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That has been one of the major components, even with my own healing journey and with yoga of self-ascension. They have something very similar, which is we call it the stop. And it's basically stop, take a deep breath, and acknowledge what you're going through, acknowledge the feelings that you have. And for me, it was always the acknowledgement component. It was something I shoved aside very, very quickly because I'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm upset. Yeah, great. Okay, well, I don't have time for that. Okay, num num. Uh, and then I would try and what relax it out, and it was never. I never gave myself the ability to acknowledge that and acknowledge the feelings that I had and that they were valid as well, and that I could work through them and go and say to myself, like your second step, everything's okay, it's valid. Other people have your third step, other people have these things, and you literally work yourself through it. So it's very similar to the lessons
Mm.
that I have been learning too as well. So yeah,
Oh,
acknowledgement and realizing that it's okay
yes.
is was certainly key for me, rather than rushing and rushing my way
Yeah.
through it.
Yes, because, for me, what I can now see looking back, when I was full on in my addiction, I was not wanting to feel the way I was feeling most of the time. And so I was trying to change the way I was feeling. And so drugs and alcohol did that for me, stopped working. And so this was teaching me feel the feels,
Yeah, it's okay to feel the
acknowledge
feelings.
them.
Yeah,
And it's okay to be angry. It's just what you do with your anger,
exactly.
right? It's a safe thing to feel, and then I have control over how I react or how I'm going to respond. I choose to respond now and not react,
Mhm,
right? And so for me, self-compassion and treating myself like uh, like a good friend
mhm.
was radical, crazy, because you heard where it came from. "You are pathetic. You
Yeah,
don't even know how to walk." Like,
yeah,
this is life-changing. I mean, I can still say little things to myself that are kinda negative, but I almost like, I don't even believe it anymore. It's I hear it, and then I just kinda chuckle going,
yeah.
"Where's that coming from?" Like,
I get the Cheshire cat grin going, "I see what you did there. No,
"Yeah,
no, no.
nice try.
Nice try."
Nice try. It's not working."
Yeah,
Right? And so when I, teach this, and especially with clients or in group coaching programs, I see all these little light bulbs go off. And we don't intentionally treat ourselves poorly, but our society, our culture in North America does not really uh, inspire us or tell us to take care of ourselves and treat ourselves well. It's yes, especially as women, please help others and forget about yourself. That's just selfish and just help everybody else,
yeah,
right?
yes,
It's like
yeah,
it's not selfish and it's not wrong to treat yourself like you do others that you love and care about,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Hello.
That's gnarly, everyone. Gnarly, everyone, gnarly.
Hi,
Gnarly is a
Marlene.
lovely little stray cat we brought in. He was on literally death's doors a few months ago, but,
Oh,
he's caught literally on my sweater.
oh,
There there we go. We got him. We got
good.
he, my husband brought him in. He's like, "Okay." He was literally skin, bones, skeleton, and we were trying to feed him and stuff, and my husband was like, "Enough's enough," and we pulled out our old kennel, and we tucked him in there, and we brought him in. He's doing well, but he likes to
Good.
get up, when I'm for some reason, when I'm on my show, loving the show, he loves being up on the desk, moving around and popping his nose out, so that's my gnarly. So,
He likes your voice.
it must.
Yeah.
So oh, back to, I've even just what we were talking about there before with, the negative self-thoughts and self-think a lot of people don't realize too that when they have those negative self-talk, a lot of the time it might sound like their voice in their head, but in a lot of times those are implanted things from, everything from teachers, bullies at school, friends, something your older sibling might have said to you, or your uncle might whatever. We don't realize in a lot of cases those negative self-talk might be our voice in our ears, but it's actually somebody's voice. But we've gotten so caught up in the ego of it all and who we are, and we've convinced ourselves that it's us and that
Yes.
we're the problem. And having that compassion and to releasing of judgment of self and others is and being thankful. And when I find too is when you get that little Cheshire cat grin going, I see what you did there. I like to give thanks for that when I notice it too, because it just gives me that little extra kick of energy to say, see, I recognize that. And it just cements everything out for it's almost like you've got to get your ego to realize that it doesn't need to drive the bus. It can go sit in the
Absolutely.
back seat because the person who has the map and knows where they're going and what they want, what everyone wants, body, mind, and spirit, is able to take over and drive the bus for you, your soul, your passion, your higher self, and they're not saying negative things to you in your head. I guarantee it. It's that teeny tiny soft little voice at first, then it as those I find as those negative self-talk begins to go down, the voice becomes that voice of passion, and your soul begins to become louder and louder and louder, so that you're not having to listen for that faint little voice anymore. It's like a gong in your head going, no, go do this, you want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I literally every morning, thank my ego
Yeah,
because it's doing its job. It's
exactly.
looking for the problems, it's looking for the saber-toothed tigers,
Yep.
let's make sure you're safe. So I thank my ego every day for doing its job, but it's okay, I've got it from here.
Yeah,
I know what I'm
exactly.
doing,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? And that helps me to just get into that mindset for the day, and using the mindfulness of I become aware of what my thoughts are, but I don't go into the thoughts, the
Yeah.
ego thoughts. I can just recognize them and let them pass and just keep moving towards where I know I need to be, what
Yeah.
I need to be doing. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Now you've started how long have you been coaching now exactly?
So I took the plunge 2 years ago. Um, in the sense that, I've been a social service worker for over 25 years,
Yeah,
but I felt that I needed to go and take a coaching program. I didn't need to. I've been coaching folks for over 25 years.
yeah,
It's just I needed that confidence boost, right? And so officially, I called myself a life coach. A life and wellness coach is the
yeah.
certificate that I got 2 years ago. I did it in COVID online, so that was interesting.
My
And
husband learned the saxophone. You go to
yes,
coaching. Hey.
yes, we all had to find things to do on our
Exactly,
computers to learn, right? So that
exactly.
was mine. It was a 22-week program, and, I learned a lot, met some really neat people, but it just kind of validated, you know what you're doing.
Yes,
You
yeah,
you know who you are and how you wanna help people, and so I have a few modalities that I work with, but very solution focused, but I come from it from the lens of using self-compassion, using self-care to then grow into the self-love,
mhm,
which I find a lot of folks, have difficulty with, you know? Uh, we really can struggle with, um, really loving ourselves for who we are, flaws and all,
yes.
and embracing who we are, that there is no other Stephanie Butler on this planet. That's my superpower.
Exactly,
Know?
exactly. Love it.
Yes. And so many people don't know that. They're all comparing themselves to others, and if I just do this and I'm more like that, it's like, no, 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 that's not the point.
Nobody else on this planet has had the same life as you. Not even your siblings have had the
No,
same life as you. Yeah.
absolutely not. And so, within my world, so my work world, I still have a day job. I'm not doing the coaching full time, working towards that
Yeah.
slowly because I do love my day job. So I'm like, where do I want to be?
Yeah.
I get to create and facilitate different programs where I work. And so who finds me but like women who are literally, say in their 60s and they've never ever thought of self-love or
Yeah.
self-compassion. Like
Yeah.
like it's not even on their radar.
No.
And then I see them all of a sudden blossom and realize, "Oh my gosh,
You mean I
I've
could
been
have
missing."
chose that differently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they start to live a little differently and they start putting up some boundaries and they start saying, "No, I'm sorry, I'm busy, I can't do that."
Yeah.
And wow, just amazing. And that is my jam. That's what I love doing. Like I said, I could talk for hours about self-compassion. I mean, I just wanted to share how it transformed my life because it can transform others and I've seen it, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And then in my personal life, I work with others who are living in recovery and I see them transforming their lives and living in recovery and change, like basically you got to change everything, not asking much.
No, exactly, exactly.
Like you've got to, you have to figure out that every way that you thought was out to it was detrimental to you, right? And so
Yes.
you need to learn a whole new way of life, and self-love is part of that, and self-compassion and self-care. you
Exactly.
know um Gabor Mate, like trauma responses, I don't take care of self.
Yes.
I'm fiercely independent. I don't need your help, right? That's where I come from.
Yep.
That's how I used to think.
Yep.
And so over these years, slowly unlearning, 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 and putting putting my spirituality first has created the life that I want to live. And so when I worked with folks, I also come from that lens.
Yeah.
So connecting to your higher power, connecting to source, whatever label you want to put it on, so finding what brings you joy, using your creativity, having gratitude and appreciation in your life, celebrating your wins, great or small,
No
right?
matter how small.
So it just raises our vibration, raises our energy level so that we, attract like. And that's what's worked for me. And so, today I find myself here with you. I attracted me to you, you to me, because we're like-hearted and like-minded.
Yes.
This is not by mistake, right?
No. And caveat as well too, it even more so because I'm not friends or I haven't necessarily kept in as close a contact with all of my younger friends from school or from a resort. My parents owned a resort growing up. That's how I know Stephanie. Her parents were and still are with on the resort themselves. But I just I don't know where I was going with all that exactly, but I loved watching people find the best of themselves and then blossom from there. It just that was what I love to do on the resort too, is just watching the young kids just go up there and blossom and be who they are and experience life and experience something they never would have before. And so that's always been one of my joys in life is to help others see themselves from a different point of view or a different perspective than they ever thought of before. And having the my healing journey, yoga, self-ascension, and learning through them. It was quite interesting when you were talking about, you first listed yourself as a wellness or life coach. Do you now have I had the same problem. When I first came out, my ego had gotten a hold of me, and I didn't wanna put spiritual coach in my at all. And so I went the same kind of route that you had, and it's only been in the last 6 months, I'm like, "Forget this." I because it was also talking with other people gone the business coach route or like yourself through the social service work and whatnot. And I realized, oh, even with my own self, I have a history of healthcare and social services as well. And I've realized that we're all talking the same thing. It's just slightly different language that I I woo stuff gets taken out, but and is changed to energy, or that kind of thing in the business, coaching. Literally, it is all the same stuff, and I just wanted to ask you if that was one of the reasons, and have you embraced the kind of the spiritual aspect of it now with a little bit more fervor?
I have, and I'm actually in the midst of rebranding because don't I'm not the same person I was 2 years ago, that's for sure.
Yeah,
I believe in a growth and evolution journey. That's what we're all on, and so I on my website, it does talk about my spiritual journey, but I
mhm,
haven't labeled myself as a spiritual wellness coach or like, I guess I a little afraid to label it,
yeah.
but I don't think I just fit into one little box either. So it's a little difficult to put out there who you want to be labeled as because everybody
Exactly.
has their own idea of what that label means.
And
But
everything bleeds together too. It's not like you go to the person for business and some of their personal life doesn't bleed into their business problems or vice versa.
yeah,
Everything it mends together, and that's where I think too, the society, we've separated everything out. Everything from our medications to and our body working on those medications, to the food we put in our mouths, to even just separating out how we treat a body, how we treat a mind, and how we treat a spirit.
yeah,
You have to treat them all together. That's how it
absolutely.
works. They're all in sync and they're all a unit,
Yes,
and the sooner we can understand that and embrace it, the better. And I find the older, I don't know about you, but the older people, they want to keep clinging on to the Western medicines and the Western, well, okay, I'm going to change my diet and I'm going to do this exercise. I'm going to do this Qigong. That's great. But they're not necessarily willing to go in at full hog the way that, say, a younger person would do. And I think for me, that also resonates as well with just the fact that when I started my coaching, I was already deep and well on my spiritual path. So I just decided right from the get-go, it only took me a matter of a couple months to just realize, no, I yes, I love life coach, I love wellness coach, but spiritual coaching and that is truly where I long to be. And like again, they all bleed together as well.
yes,
So I can totally resonate with that. And
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah. We'll
I'm
see
just
where
looking at the
it
time
leads.
here. We got
Yes.
10 minutes. We got 10 minutes. We're okay. No, we don't, is there anybody out there that would like to chat? Please put it in the chat if you have any questions for Stephanie. But Stephanie has an amazing thing going on right now. That's why I had to stop you, Steph, because I really wanted to make sure we got in to talk about this. Steph, one of Steph's major, oh, maybe I'll let her tell you because it's one of her newest and I guess it's almost like one of your bucket list type things is to do something like this too. So you tell them all about it. It's a great summit.
Yes, I had a vision about a year ago about bringing women together who are on a collective healing journey.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'll make a summit online because then anyone from anywhere would be able to come. It would be accessible and then I thought, you know what, but I want to use local mentors and coaches because I know them and I know what they have to offer. And so it kind of became local mentors, but reachable to all over the world.
Yeah.
And so when I was very nervous to start asking people because I'm like, who are you to put together a summit? You've never done this before. Like, who are you kidding, right? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm doing it.
Good for
And
you.
so I started asking some folks, and I shared my vision with them that we would be on Facebook in a group, and we would just be talking live on Facebook. It wasn't going to be like this, where it was like a talk, kind of podcast style type of interview. It was just going to be folks going live on Facebook in a private group with other women. So it was just kind of face to face virtually,
Mhm.
sharing their experience and expertise on different subjects, mind, body, and spirit. And so everybody that I spoke to at first said yes. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. And here we are a year later. Tomorrow is day 3 of the 3-day woman summit.com. You can still
On the
register.
bottom there.
Yeah, you can still register. It's for free. Um, and the replays, they only are there for 48 hours. So some of the replays will be retired, but you can always upgrade to the VIP experience for a low price of $33. And that gets you all the replays for a lifetime and then a lot of bonus material. So we had intergenerational trauma. We spoke on facial intelligence, manifestation from a scientific point of view. It was
Ooh,
blew my mind. Um, there was body talk. She gave such amazing practical skills of just listening to your body. It has
mhm.
the answers if you listen.
Yeah.
Uh, and just it's just been amazing, and I'm blown out of the water. I knew how amazing these women were, but then when I got to see their sessions, holy cow, I'm like, "This is amazing, and I'm part of this, I can't believe it." And so, yes, I really encourage anyone, who would like to join, please register, check out what you can that's still available to check out the replays, and there'll be 3 speakers live tomorrow, 1 at 9, that's myself, a little bit more depth on self-compassion, and then at 12 noon, and then at 2:30. So, I really, I'm so excited that I've done this. It's a lot more work than I anticipated, as I was saying earlier. If I had a known, I don't know if I would have done it, but I did it.
My one of my teacher both my teachers, Master Lady Kara and wisdom teacher Sri Ramka, always say that if the universe let us knew what we were getting ourselves into, I don't think we would know, or we would do it.
Exactly. Be
We
like,
would just
"I
not.
know."
Yeah, no, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. So
yeah,
they only let you know what you need to know, and they never give you and it's never they never give you anything too hard. You're
yes,
able to overcome it all
yeah,
for sure. So, Stephanie has, a website, all her information there is along the bottom. So her website is stephaniebutlercoach.com, and you can reach her at stephanie.butler.coach@gmail. And also I forgot to put .com there, but everyone knows to put a .com after Gmail, I hope.
mm,
And then the 3-day women's summit, .com if you guys want to go and take part in that. I'm going to be there live at 9 o'clock in the morning
yay.
to see it, and I'm gonna definitely go back and catch some of those videos on, that facial, they
Yes,
all sound fascinating for me.
yeah,
We've just been so busy the last couple of days here, but, yeah, tomorrow is part of my day is going to be just with you guys, so I can't wait to take
wonderful.
part in that. So if you have any, wanna drop Stephanie a line or have any questions about what she's talked about today, please, please, please get a hold of her for sure, for sure. So we have still about 5 minutes left or so. Is there anything that you would like to tell the listeners at Oneness Talk Radio and around the world? We literally have people around the world. So, what would you like to share about anything coming up other than your women's summit and whatever you want to share? You share. The floor is yours.
Okay, well, I have just downloaded, in October, a couple of group coaching programs. So one is going to be starting, I'm hoping in, January.
Nice.
So I just have to check my schedule and make that all happen. And so it's a live coaching program, and I'll be looking at how to connect with self
Mhm.
through self care, self compassion, and self love. And so when we are connecting this way, we grow the self love, and from that comes trust, confidence, and we just find ourselves in that state of flow
Mhm.
where everything is just coming to us and everything that we're putting out there is just easy peasy, when we're in flow. And so this program will teach you practical tips on how to embody self compassion, self care, and self love. And so I'm really excited for that coming out. So that's on my website as well. The Soul Alignment program. So it's also very spiritual based.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I believe there will be 7 sessions in total, live in a Facebook group. I love to use a Facebook group because then you can just keep going back to that and watch things over and over because that's how it helps resonate. And sometimes we need to rehear things because we're different than we were the day we heard it the first time. And then we hear something a little different the next time we watch it.
Exactly, exactly. I
Yeah.
almost say that it's not your life that's like an onion, it's almost like the events or the triggers are like an onion, and that you take one layer off at the level of consciousness that you're at, and then you might carry on for months or even years, and you get triggered again, and you're realizing at a deeper level of consciousness, and then the other layer comes off. And then you're sometimes you're just sitting there going, "I did this already. I thought I had this." And then you realize, "Oh, okay." And then you give that little nod and the little wink and the little smile and you say, "Thank you," and you get it that much deeper.
Yeah.
And so when you do come back around, folks, and that onion start to a trigger or something else that you thought you've dealt with, give yourself a little bit of thanks and gratitude and see what isn't in me invited this to be. What brought this back towards me, and what lesson do I have to learn now from it? And it might be a slightly different nuanced lesson or energy that you have to release or let go. And so never judge your that's another way. Don't it's amazing how sly we can be at our own self-judgments. So even something as simple as, "I thought I was there before," and you start beating yourself and you're like, "Wait a minute, no, 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 no."
Yeah,
And you've gotta stop
absolutely.
yourself and work yourself through it. So, thank you, Steph, for coming on. This has
Well,
been an
thank
absolutely
you.
amazing, amazing hour. I would love to hear more about, maybe in the new year, have you on again, or even before, if you've got your workshop all set up and ready to rock and roll, we'll have you on beforehand so we can get, the word out for you for sure.
Thank you.
But everybody, if you want to check out Stephanie, she will be live tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can go to the 3daywomenssummit.com and you can still sign up and register to watch her live. And then if my understanding is the videos are up for 48 hours after they've aired. And
Yeah,
then so you can watch them for that, but if you wanna get them all, you do the $33. We call it a shock day exchange, but, that's exactly 33. Did you come up with that number?
well, I just thought 333, 3 days, 3 speakers, 333. It all just kinda came together, yeah.
Exactly, amazing number for it to have come together on, so well done, well done, well done. So anyway, we hope to have you on again, maybe before that workshop comes out, because that would be absolutely fabulous. So
Wonderful.
anybody, again, Stephanie Butler Coach, please try and get a hold of her if you're looking for a coach. Do you have any, written works coming out at all, Steph?
Not coming out, well, I'm working o okay, that's a lie. I'm working on a 52 week, so, an agenda, a journaling manifestation journal.
Awesome.
So, I'm hoping that'll be ready for January.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So there you have it, folks. Please try and check her out live tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for all of you out there on Oneness Talk Radio, I can't wait to see you again next week. I'm just going to quickly look to make sure I don't have anything I want to tell you about right at the moment. No, I think we're good. So next week on November 3rd, unless I have a guest who suddenly pops up, you're going to have me all alone next week. So I can't wait to see you then. Everybody have a fabulous day. Namaste.
Thank you so much.